Copies posterior.
Okay, Jack, we are live on YouTube.
Okay, all right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming to the December 2025 last CNC meeting of the year. We have three items on our agenda today. First is revisiting the Alsham Restaurants application for Sidewalk Cafe. Second is a review of the NYC Council intro that has to do with sidewalk dining, outdoor dining. And thirdly is a discussion on valet parking as a third. So we are welcome back with Alsham Restaurant, who last time we discussed, there was a number of 311 issues relating especially with trash and the maintenance thereof. And so we had asked the Alsham restaurant to come back with a plan before we would move forward with any further approvals or discussion of the dining out application. So yeah, let's start with that.
Hey, Jack. So just to remind everyone, this was an application for Alsham Restaurant, 7701 Fifth Avenue. We reviewed the layout of the sidewalk, the hours of operation, community concerns that were raised at the meeting included storage and maintenance of the commercial trash, rodent activity, complaints 311. There was a bunch that we looked at, double parking, requests from residents were double parking enforcement. They asked the restaurant to post signage for customers, asking them not to double park. The district office following the November meeting did reach out to the Department of Sanitation and the Fifth Avenue Business Improvement District to provide outreach and education to Alsham. The applicant also said that they would be working on revised storage of their trash, more frequent collections, limiting sidewalk storage. The Fifth Avenue bid reps did visit the site to provide educational assistance. We have, following the meeting, received some positive feedback. I know that the applicant is here and put some items in the chat. So I'm going to turn it over to them because they're both here.
Yes, my name is Nasser, and I'm representing Alsham, and Samir is the owner, and he's here with me. We were at the first meeting, and I do remember some of the faces, I guess, as well on your end. So we just want to make a couple of things, clarify a couple of things that were discussed last time. As far as the location of the container, so there was some confusion. I think some of the members thought that it would be within the space that's allocated for the outdoor seating or outdoor dining. I don't know if you are able to look at the pictures that we uploaded. They are beyond that area, and there's more space even between that container. And if you see the door, that door actually belongs to the kitchen of the Asham. So there's plenty of room there. It's not going to interfere, and it's not going to be close to the neighbor's door, which is not even showing in the picture that we uploaded. It's still beyond that. And also, as far as the waste collection, they are doing the max, which is 6 days a week. We provided a letter from the company that does the pickup for them, and they do 3 days a week for recyclable items as well. They also provided. We contacted the exterminator, and they will be working with the owner on making sure that the outdoor dining area and the sidewalk pretty much is protected, and they will do enough spraying, and what they do, I guess, well, is make sure that they could eliminate any rodent activities in the area of concern. Also, we did contact sanitation. However, sanitation does require some time in advance. So we did not get any reply back from them for an appointment to come and visit and provide guidance for the facility for the time when they will have the outdoor dining set up. What else? As far as the seating itself that's going to be there, it will have barriers between the seating area and the remaining sidewalk. So that will also probably prevent any food from spilling over into the sidewalk accidentally. And the facility or the restaurant will have one of its employees designated to make sure that they go out and maintain the cleanliness of the outdoor and the sidewalk, of outdoor seating and the sidewalk area of concern.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm very glad to hear you come back with a pretty comprehensive plan. It's also very good to hear that you've met with the Fifth Avenue BID, DSNY, as well, and also to hear that there's already some positive feedback from the community here. So I'll open up to the committee here for any questions, comments that anyone wants to add here. I
Carmen?
see. Yeah, Carmen.
I wasn't able to attend the last meeting, but I was just surprised by the violations, the list of the violations that was sent to me. Because I'm thinking anybody who owns a restaurant should know what the rules and regulations are. And working with sanitation is something that's kind of a given. They all have helplines. And it was just a little fringy in a way. Because I love the restaurants in Bay Ridge. I always promote staying in the neighborhood. But this just seemed like some things that they should have known how to take care of them before we got to this point. But I'm glad that they are working on improving what's happened in the past. But I just want to know if they're going to have people want something outdoors, that's going to mean extra work. So are they planning on also hiring more staff? Because some of these outdoor things can become popular and you have to have people running around. But if they're running around, you also have to make sure they're also disposing of the trash and the garbage or whatever waste in a proper way also, not stockpiling it again.
Okay, so I know you said you weren't there the last time we had the meeting. There a lot of these violations. When I spoke with Samer, he said that most of it most likely came from one person or one neighbor that had an issue with the restaurant or its owner.
It's two neighbors.
Huh?
One is upstairs, it's two neighbors.
Two neighbors? Okay, so he's saying it's two neighbors. One of them lives upstairs, and they had an issue with the business being there. And like I said before, they will have a designated employee that will maintain that. His main job will be just to maintain the outdoor dining area. So they will be hiring additional people because they also expect additional business as well with having the outdoor area in there. And they want to make sure that it's kept in a very clean matter. And obviously, and I understand your frustration, with the fact that maybe in the past they weren't up to par with your expectations or obviously many other people's expectations, but they are doing a much better job. They had completely renovated the place. They spent a lot of money, invested a lot of money in it to make sure that it is as clean as possible on the inside. And also the last 2 months or the last now 3 months, they had a metal container that they didn't have before that should be able to allow them to dump everything within that container and keeping it closed at all times. Also, they would keep the recycling indoors until the night time, the closing time, to put it outside. So they wouldn't be putting any any recycling items outdoors until it's like later in the night, to reduce any rodent activity as well. So they are, in all honesty, trying their best to improve on all aspects, whether it's indoor or outdoor, and they know that the expectations are high. So
Stephanie?
Question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Stephanie.
Oh.
Go ahead,
Stephanie.
Speaking?
Go ahead, Stephanie.
Am I good? Okay, thank you. Two questions, please. And I'm sorry if this first one is redundant, but is there a very detailed plan as to how you will handle evening cleanup? Is there chair removal? The barriers will be brought inside? Will there be sweeping of the street or cleaning of the sidewalk? Could you please tell me? Thank you.
yes, sure. So هي بتسأل إنه أنتم بس تفتحوا الأوتدور دايننج شو رح تعملوا؟ رح تدخلوا الكراسي جوا، رح تنظفوا،
طبعا اكيد
الفواصل هدول رح تدخلوهم ولا رح يضلوا برا؟ الفواصل البارير يعني اللي جنب الكراسي، بين الكراسي والسايد ووك،
تمام
رح يدخلوا جوا.
هلا كل شيء رح يكون نظيف، كل شيء رح يكون نظيف كثير، ما رح يكون في وسخ ابدا، يكون في مساحه بين كل طاوله، يعني بين الاول طاوله وثاني طاوله شيء، وبوعدهم انه مستحيل يلاقوا اي شيء وسخ برا.
اوكي، بس انتوا رح تدخلوا الكراسي كل ليله؟
تدخلي الكراسي؟ لازم.
مش عارف انتوا يعني شو
هلا ما بعرف اذا لازم بندخلهم، اذا مو لازم نخليهم.
هلا الكراسي موست لايك رح تدخلوهم، بس الباريرز لا، رح يضلوا.
الطاولات اكيد رح يضلوا، الفواصل اكيد رح يضلوا، ما رح يدخلوا، بس الكراسي اسالهم اذا بدهم نخليهم، اذا بدهم بندخلهم.
Okay. So he said again, he's stressing again that they will definitely have somebody that their main job will be just to keep that area clean, and they will have enough room between the tables to allow for easy, cleanup of that area. The chairs will go inside, but the barriers would stay outside. Yeah, because they won't be able to bring them in and out every night, and they're going to make something that's going to look like visually really nice. I mean, they're not going to just put in anything in there. They want to make sure that the store looks on the inside and the outside really good. So the barriers will definitely stay outside. Yeah.
And the tables?
The tables will الطاولات راح يدخلوا جوا.
بدهم ندخلهم بدهم نطلعهم اللي بدهم اياه، ما عندي اي مشكله. انا بدهم
فيني الطاولات،
هن الطاولات انا موصي على طاولات جداد وطاولات جداد.
بتدخلوا
كله بيدخلوا بيطلع اللي بدهم بدخلهم، بدهم بخليهم، هن شو بدهم ما عندي مشكله.
Yeah, they are ordering special tables, but honestly he's not 100% sure if they will be able to bring them in. It's gonna depend on when they put the layout. They have to decide at that time, but the chairs will go in because they're worried that the chairs might be stolen.
Tables, small table.
Yeah, the tables are not that big, he's saying.
It's not big, yeah.
Just clarify, the removable objects should go indoors or locked down. I can understand the barriers cannot be moved indoors, obviously, but if the chairs or tables, they should be inside overnight.
Yeah, the tables, the chairs will go inside for sure.
Yeah, of course.
في المطبخ راح تحطهم؟ في المطبخ؟
في المطبخ, yeah.
Okay, so they're gonna go in the kitchen because there's an out, there's a door right there.
Sure.
So they can put it through. The tables, I think if they mount the tables, and I'm not sure if they're able to do that. Okay, he's saying that they're foldable, so they might be able just to fold them away and keep them there. It's just they're not really sure if they're gonna have to be mounted or not. If they're gonna have to be mounted, I guess they wouldn't be considered removable.
Okay.
But
I'm sorry to interrupt, but mounted meaning what? Adhered to the sidewalk?
Well, I don't know how they're gonna design the barriers. They might be mounted against the barriers. Maybe not the sidewalk itself, but maybe toward the barrier side, because the barriers are gonna be heavy. So the
table here is 30 by 30.
30 by 30?
30 by 24, sorry.
Oh, 30 by 24.
30 by 24.
I think we could probably ask the place that is going to provide the tables maybe to send us a diagram of the tables and how they need to be mounted. And we can provide this for you, or maybe we can email it to you, because it's not 100% sure if how the tables will, if they're going to be able to remove them every day, or they're going to need to be mounted, against the barrier.
Yeah, the DOT rules prohibit the adhering them into the sidewalk, so you can't drill them into
Yeah,
the
not the
sidewalk.
sidewalk, no,
Right.
but the barrier,
But-
I think they
Oh,
allow
you're
that.
saying onto the barrier, okay.
Okay, so, but there's no, this is not in violation of any stipulation or DOT rule. Is it? I mean, adhering them to a barrier that remains outside overnight?
Well, if it is,
I don't know.
yeah.
Not to my
I don't
mind, just to
think so.
stepping in a little bit. I believe a lot of the rules are around like securing of movable
Secure,
furniture,
Okay.
right.
which
Okay.
would be okay here.
Mhm.
So this would be secure if it were
Right.
mounted to
Yes.
the barrier.
Yeah.
Okay. I had a second question, if I may.
Yes,
And-
absolutely.
Okay, this might be more general, and I don't know that the applicant can answer it, but regarding pest control, I don't know if there's a list of pest control services that are used, but I'm assuming that given that this is being done around food, that they're safe for application. How do we determine that, or do we have any information about that? Or does the applicant, are the applicants aware, or the restaurant owners aware of what type of pest control or pesticide is used?
انت بتعرف شو انواع السم اللي بيستخدموا هذا، او عندك فكرة عن
يا طبعا هذا بيستخدم سم للصراصير، طبعا ما بيأذي العالم، وهو اصلا بيجي بالليل بعد ما نسكر المحل كلياته،
اوكي.
وبيستخدموا مناطق معينه جدا. ماشي. بيستخدم سم للصراصير والفيران، مع انه نحن لا عندي لا صراصير ولا فيران، بس هو لازم يجي
بس من برا، يعني هو يعني
من برا ومن
انت بتعرف
جوا.
شو نوع
من برا
السم
ومن
اللي
جوا.
بيستخدموه؟
بصراحه لا.
له علاقة في الاكل شيء؟
لا ما هو
أوكي.
هو ما بيضر الاكل بنوب. انا اول ما عملت معه العقد سالته اذا هذا مضر شيء للطعام او الهي، قال لي لا ما بيأثر، اصلا انا بستعمله بس بالارضيه، يعني ما بيطلع لفوق بنوب، اونلي بالارضيه.
هو برشه ولا بحط دواء؟
هلا في دواء بيحطه،
مم.
وفي بخاخ صغير برشه. الرش تبعه ما انه عالي كتير،
اوكي.
انه رش هيك بس بيرش على الدائره المحل.
Okay. So, two things. He said that the exterminator only comes after the business is closed, so they don't come when customers are there.
Right.
And yeah, and also when they started dealing with the pest control company, they had a discussion about the type of chemicals I guess they use to make sure that I mean, and the company also understands the restaurant, so they know there's food.
Yes.
There's no spraying. Actually there is minimal spraying, but that's only against the floor. And they don't use anything that, as far as Sham knows, that should affect negatively or should have a negative effect on the food service they have. As far as the specific chemicals, he honestly says that he doesn't know what they are. He just, he's dealing with a company that does a lot of restaurants. So they assuming that, they know that they're dealing with food and need to be more diligent than, if it was just a regular other type of business that doesn't have food.
Okay, thank you very much for the information.
Sure.
Right. Larry has his hand, please, Larry.
Hours of operation, what are the hours of operation? So the beginning in the afternoon and closing in the evening, or what are they? Do you understand that?
Yes, I have it on the screen that we talked about it last time. So in the application, the hours of operation, 11 a.m. to 10
10
p.m.
o'clock, they close at 10.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay. Jack, I don't see any other hands raised.
Okay, so I do want to remind Alshem that this is so the next step in this process, depending on exactly what the committee does, is it will still go to the DOT for approval. But I want to remind you that this is renewed every 4 years. And so, you know, obviously with the plan you have in place, this is quite odd in that like in the previous approvals, we have not heard so much community negative feedback on this specific issue, pest control. So we want to remind you that like this will come back every 4 years. Hopefully the situation does not deteriorate. So that's point one. Point two is that one of the stipulations that we listed obviously has to do with pet control, but another one has to do with meeting with the community board in case of further community issues. And so if we were to hear further that, you know, the situation has you know, continued to deteriorate or reverted back, you know, not locking like the trash, which would causes like further rodent sightings, like you guys will we will have you guys come back and just speak to us about further plans. So I just want to remind you of those two things.
Okay, so if you just give me a minute, I just wanna
Yes.
explain to him. هو بقول لك انه هذا يعني هو شكله راح يوافقوا لك، بس هو بقول لك انه بدك تتذكر انه كل 4 سنين يعملوا لك تجديد، وانه اذا في اي مشاكل اكيد راح يعني بمشي عن طريقهم التجديد. ثاني شيء انه راح يستنوا هلا كمان مشان يشوفوا اذا في حدا من الجيران عم بيعمل اي كومبلين او اي مخالفات او اي شيء. واذا صار اي شيء لازم تحكوا مع البي اي دي طبعا البزنس يعني.
هلا انا بوعدك انت حتشوف الشارع الزاويه رائعه جدا.
اكيد
اكيد. Yeah.
Okay. He said he promises that that corner will be the cleanest one in Parrish. So,
Oh,
but I did explain to him the things that you stressed.
Fantastic. Okay, all right. I will put a motion on the floor here to approve this application with the standard stipulations, a set of 10 that we have. Any further discussion on this application? Okay, all right. All in favor, please raise your hand.
okay. All in favor? So you know what? So let me go into my grid.
Oh, go ahead.
Hold on one second. I just want to go into grid. Okay, all in favor. Everyone could raise your hand. Okay. Very good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. 7. All any opposed? One opposed. No abstentions or
Abstentions, okay.
recusals. Okay, so motion carries. And the board will be reviewing this on Monday at its general board meeting, which will be this upcoming Monday, December 15th. I'll send you information if you're able to attend in case there are any questions. That would be great.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, and
Thank you.
best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you again. Thanks for
Thank
your
you very
time.
much.
Okay, so. Okay, sorry, Jack. Okay, so Jack, I know you wanted me to quickly go through the intros and what we've learned following the meeting about the city council hearing. So at last meeting, we looked at intros 1421, 44, and 1446 relating to outdoor dining. I'm sorry, and 1446. So the New York City Council had its hearing the same day as our board meeting, just a few hours later. So we had an opportunity to take a look at the hearing. The Department of Transportation addressed council members in each of those two that were really more pertinent to CB10. And they explained that they wanted to continue to work with both the city council and the agencies to review applications to ensure emergency responders have the clearance as it relates to 1421, with roadway setups that are set to go down in the winter this coming weekend, which is, you know, right after they have the meeting. They will also look critically at setups that may need adjustments based on feedback from partner agencies. And as far as 1446, DOT said they were continuously exploring how to improve their online application portal, including the function to save in progress applications, and they look forward to continuing the ongoing work. They were going to explore all of the recommendations made by the council in the intros. There was a lot of public testimony. The public was very well represented, and there was a lot of opposition to the extension of year-round roadway dining, worrying that it would return to street storage space, block emergency services, you know, create rodent issues. Other concerns that were raised was about an increase in street trash, as well as certain roadway cafes being inaccessible for individuals with disabilities. There was no vote that was taken at the meeting, and there was no vote expected to be taken in the remainder of the session. So they are DOT and the council's continuing to look at it. I did check in with Councilmember Brannon's office. He said that he shared that they didn't expect a vote. They're still working on these intros. And that if the committee, either tonight or in the future, wanted to provide comment, they would certainly, take a look at it. But right now, it's not scheduled. The last stated meeting is on the 19th, and it was not on the calendar.
Okay. Well, when I was looking through these again last week, I mean, it's not coming up for a vote, so I'm not sure like what kind of actionable things we can do here. Of course, we can always submit comments, but it's probably gonna go into ether until at least the new council is sworn in.
Sure.
I think the best step forward is probably just to post to general board, and if we hear further action here, then we can take a deeper dive here.
Okay. So we'll move to the next item. We sent out letters that were proposed by board member Staley Dietrich, who's here today. So I just wanted to share, we took a look at all of our outdoor dining permits in Community Board 10. There are a total of 17, 2 locations that are roadway only, 4 that have roadway and sidewalk, 11 that have sidewalk only, and 3 of the 17 offer valet parking services. So Staley had designed this nice valet parking in the neighborhood, little placard. It's laminated, reminding valet parking, businesses that utilize valet parking. It says, please don't block crosswalks, don't park or receive deliveries at bus stops, fire hydrants, or no standing zones. Don't block off on-street parking with cones or other objects. Thank you. And the goal, Staley wanted to share this with those that utilize valet parking, and he's drafted 2 letters. I'll turn it over to Staley.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So I have up here review of parking letter version A.
Yeah, I don't know if I need to read it out loud.
Or you could
Yeah,
just summarize.
yeah, I'll just summarize it. So it's basically just trying to be sort of friendly outreach, saying, hey, just so you know, this is always a concern. Thank you for participating in the dining out program and for meeting with our board about your dining out application. We would appreciate you paying attention to this issue, valet parking. I sort of worded it as a letter that could be sent to all of our dining out applications, whether they use valet parking currently or not. Sort of saying, like, even if you're considering this, like, think about this before you sign up a valet parking vendor if you're thinking about using this at your restaurant. And then to make it easier, we put these little cards in. We've sent you these little cards, like a 4x6 postcard that summarizes some of the rules that are already in the city charter. It's a card that I think is designed to hand to like the guys running the valet station or to stick on their little podium, just to kind of remind them of some of the rules that they're supposed to follow. I drafted a version A, which is generic, that could go to all of our applicants, all of the people that participated in the program, whether they currently have valet parking or not. I drafted a version B for people who have specific complaints against them, and that one's a little more of a stick, saying, look, hey, you agreed to follow these rules and you're not following them, or we've got complaints about them. And then just based on what Josephine was just saying about the number of applicants we have, I would modify my proposal a little bit to say maybe we should have we could also send a version that goes to restaurants that we know already use valet parking, because it sounds like there are actually a lot of valet parking restaurants in our neighborhood that are not part of the dining out program. So I think a slightly modified kind of version C for those people, I think would be helpful as well. So I modified my original motion just a little bit. There you go. Happy to open to any suggestions or adjustments or.
I think look, I think it's a great idea. I think having a letter that we send out to all the restaurants that utilize valet parking, honestly, whether they are involved in dining
Right.
out or not, is probably the best option. Um, also mentioning that like, hey, if you're thinking about roadside dining, sidewalk dining, etc., you come to us, you expect this kind of question, especially if you have received complaints about that in the past, right? That kind of implies that a little bit, but it makes a lot of sense to kind of clarify the rules, or clarify the rules. Do we expect the cards to be utilized in that fashion? Like, I feel like they all use the valet services, right? Or like there's some monopoly. I think we heard at some point that there's going to be a monopoly on value services. Like, do we expect that to actually happen? And like, would the card be useful in that case?
My feeling, and we can certainly see how this goes, right? This is just our first time trying this. My feeling is that the relationship that our board has is with the restaurants, right? And it's better to go directly to them and say, hey, talk to your the people who are providing your services, maybe rather than trying to engage the valet parking company directly. I think the relationship is with the restaurants. And I think, whether they use them or not, a little postcard's a nice reminder. Maybe they can use them, maybe they won't, but it just says, hey, we take this issue seriously and you should too, in a friendly way.
Distinctive color or maybe yellow, or we'll make it orange, but people think it's a ticket, but.
I think it should be in color and it's and like a 4x6 postcard, I think, is what I was imagining.
Or a particular color back there.
Well, we had the color.
Yeah, they're in
We should
color,
write the
yeah.
Yeah.
Which one, where are they?
It's right here,
Yeah.
Larry. It's exactly this. I'm sorry I don't have it handy, but
Oh,
it's
yeah,
just
right
like
there.
this.
That's
Yeah.
I know.
Yep.
The paper itself could be a distinctive color.
It would be on white cardstock like this and
That's what I meant.
in this color.
Yeah. I think they're about 40. I checked it out. They're about 40 cents a piece at FedEx office to print out those cards.
We could print them here.
Yeah.
In the office. And we have there's not that many. We have cardstock and if we were gonna do this.
I meant if you could make it, you wouldn't want to make it orange because people think it's a parking ticket.
No, that's true.
So,
I see, Chris, you
Chris?
have a.
No, I really like the idea of Staley. I like it a lot. I think it's really good. I just wanted to add to that, off of Al something that the owners of Al Sham also said. Doesn't DSNY have like, I don't know if they're printable, Josephine, but don't they have like the do not litter placards that we could also maybe distribute to the restaurants? Like, I think it's a great idea to like, do what Staley's saying, because the streets get so crazy congested with like double parking and whatever, like Wild West parking out there, and it's crazy. That's really good. But if we're going to give them one reminder, maybe like another, something that they can put in their window that like, please,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Right, included in the packet.
Like as a packet, right?
Right,
Yeah.
we're gonna also give them the no smoking signs, although I did take a look at around about half of them, and they all had varying smoking. Some used the Department of Health, some used their own
Some have like
nice
a
placard,
window, yeah.
Yeah, I thought I had seen a DSNY like standard thing. Like it's like
I mean,
it has like
DSNY used to
yeah.
have a sign that said "Do not litter," but they do have the Community Affairs Office at Department of Sanitation. I can certainly look for that.
Thanks.
I know that problematic valet parking is also like an enforcement issue, somewhat. Is it possible to also distribute these to the police department as well? Where I mean, I'm not sure what they're gonna do, but like obviously they can ticket or whatever incorrectly parked valet parking, but they can also help distribute these. Hey, you got a ticket, but also to the restaurant distribute these. Maybe that'll have some additional helpful force behind it. Okay, Stephanie?
Just going back to the placard, does it say anything about it being against the law? I know it's a friendly reminder not to do those things, but I'm sorry, I didn't see it. It was.
I worded I based the card, and then I also the wording in the letter directly off the laws that are in the City of New York traffic regulations.
I mean, I always like to remind the restaurants, and just I'm curious, Josephine, in the case where there are the dining out participants, it makes sense. I mean, it seems natural that you would follow up with a letter, reminding them to adhere to the stipulations and to the law. But in terms of sending it to the other restaurants, and I'm fine with this, as a reminder, is it done just as a friendly reminder, sort of a public service announcement, or how? I don't understand what the community board's purview is in this particular situation, or just it's information?
Yeah, I mean, basically it's information. Community boards are advisory in nature, you know, we're not
Okay.
an enforcement body, but
Right.
so certainly as an advisory agency, we can, you know, provide informational, you know, material. At the end of the day, if there are, you know, when there are, or, you know, when people call 311, there is a police response for enforcement. Sometimes it's a reminder, it's an education, sometimes it's, you know, a summons.
Okay, so at the very least, this is the warning that goes out, a friendly warning, and that if there are repeat violations, at least they've been notified. We can say that.
Right.
Is
I
that
mean,
correct?
we've had instances in the past where we've had recurring community complaints and concerns about pedestrian safety. I mean, some very egregious, you know, behavior, where we've actually called in the business, had, you know, local enforcement, members of the board, you know, to discuss and try to work on making corrections. That has been, you know, effective in some cases, you know, it continued, but I think these letters and the attachments would be, you know, informational, and for those that have agreed to the stipulation, certainly a reminder.
Okay, I was just curious, is the intent, I mean, I guess they can do whatever they want with the cards, to post it somewhere in the same way you post no smoking, and we can't make the owners do it, but I'm curious too if patrons of the restaurant or pedestrians walking by even understand that so much is against the law. That's the only reason why I asked to remind me what the wording was. But just a comment. Thank you.
Dino has his hand raised. Dino?
Yeah, so I'm not opposed to this idea. I think it's good to begin having this conversation. It's definitely a step in the right direction. I think it should also include any business that has valet, including funeral homes and places of worship. I know McLaughlin and Sons has a crazy valet situation on Third Avenue. And also St. Pat's, from time to time, they have valet. They don't let whoever's having an event there, they don't let them use the parking lots, so they take over all of Fourth Avenue with their valet service, and it is insane. And they park wherever they want. On top of that, like, from what I understand, valet services are inherently not legal. I don't know if illegal is the right word, but they're not legal. They're using a public space for profit. They're also not, they're using metered parking, not paying the meters and making a profit off of it. From what I understand, they're not paying into the city at all for their business to use public space. Yeah, does anybody know what the deal is with that? Every time I've tried to approach these companies, they say they have permits with NYPD. From what I understand, there is no
No.
permit that you can
No,
get.
there is no permits from NYPD. It is kind of murky, Dino.
Yeah.
I mean, the board at one time had a valet parking subcommittee, and we actually had a report that was issued.
Suggestion,
Um,
have a special sign, VP.
and yeah,
Sure.
I mean,
That was just a suggestion.
I think the bottom line of it was so murky that you know, in terms of the rules and regulations, that it's just the difficulty in enforcing it. You're not supposed to save parking spaces. So like, I guess the police department was addressing issues that were in violation of the traffic rules, like cones, like double parking, like blocked crosswalks. But violations to the actual company themselves, was just not.
I mean, I'll say anecdotally in my, you know, I mean, I certainly haven't done like a study of it, but it seems to me after these restaurants participate in the dining out process, the ones who had valet parking, when I see those restaurants later, generally they're running it in a more community friendly way, right? Yeah, I feel like the restaurants that come to us, when I see those restaurants later, they're no longer like blocking the street. You know, they still have valet parking, but they're not like putting the cones out and holding the spaces and all of that kind of stuff. So I mean, I think keeping it positive is like the way to go, you know, to have like a nice relationship and just kind of, you know, and this is sort of in that vein. I think that's I think the most useful thing that we can do as a board is be sort of like the friendly reminder and the, you know, the partners and the, you know, in the friends of these places, you know.
Joseph, do we have enforcement numbers or 311 counts of valet parking issues?
You know, Jack, I did look before the meeting, and there's not a mechanism, there's not a searchable field on 311 specifically for valet parking. So it would be illegal parking categories. So I do have an intern, and we could take a look at data by address if you'd like to see what the data is in terms of illegal parking, if they're associated with addresses and complaints to, you know, establishments. We could look at that data if you'd like.
Yeah, I guess what I would like, what I'm thinking here is if we can pick out, in terms of the scope of restaurants, all the restaurants that have outdoor dining, if we can somehow identify problematic restaurants or other problematic businesses that have valet parking, and send the letters to them and see before and after whether it makes an impact, any measurable number, right? Even if it's just high level, you know, illegal parking numbers, if it does make a dent in that, and see what the impact is here. That's what I was hoping to get out some numbers here. I see a lot of hands
A lot of
raised.
hands, yeah. So go ahead.
So I think I'm just gonna go order of the Zoom numbers here. Chris first, then Dino, then Stephanie, then Doris. Chris.
I was just going to piggyback a little bit on what Staley was saying because I mean, my day job is like all community development, and our agency is community development. So the priority of our agency is to be everywhere where everything is happening for youth and community. So I really like the idea of just opening up the friendly dialogue on, you know, whether it's like a did you know or as a reminder, so that not only the information gets out, but just sort of like, you know, anything from keeping the streets and sidewalks clean and keeping everyone good neighbors and keeping everyone, you know, cognizant of their actions and how they affect other people, especially with like valet parking and things like that. I think that we can play a really good role as advisors in that way, and also as conveners, whether it's working with the NYPD traffic enforcement or sanitation or any of the other partners that help serve our local communities. So I love Staley, you know, my hat off to you, because I love that, because I think that makes people possibly makes people drive less recklessly and angry and get out of their minds. So it has like all good impact. So I just wanted to say, I agree with you. Let's not lose that opportunity to do that, because I think it'll have more payback to us as a community than, you know, picking specific fights just to pick fights. So I think it's always good when we try to be remedial and helpful. So I just wanted to give props there for that. That's it.
Thank you. Dina?
Yeah, so there's also just like no incentive for these businesses to follow anything that we ask them politely to do. There's no teeth behind it. There's no enforcement. If you call 311 or the 68th precinct to do any type of enforcement to valet, they show up, they do some friendly little handshake, and they leave. And the situation remains the same. They close the violation, no summons is ever issued. And it's just kind of like accepted as like, this is just how it is. This is what happens. And yeah, this is just normal. So I think we should also maybe write a letter to our council member, maybe, because it's a policy issue. There has to be something more concrete than just asking people to do things. If you think Positano is going to change their valet behavior, you're just mistaken. I don't know. It's just not going to happen. I mean, I'm not saying we shouldn't do this. Let's try. This is the friendly avenue. This is the first step, but I just don't have a lot of hope in what change this could yield.
Can I just respond really briefly to that? I completely agree. And one of the things I was wondering what people thought about is before we go ahead and do this ourselves, if we should reach out to the 6-8 precinct and say, here's what we're doing. Would you guys like to sign on to this or be a part of this? Even something as simple as having that 4x6 postcard say Community Board 10 and New York Police Department at the bottom of it might be a little more of the stick that Dino's talking about, a little more pressure on them. So I don't know what people think about that idea.
Thanks, Taylor. Stephanie?
Okay, the conversation is now going in the direction that makes a little more sense. When this was first introduced, I mean, I understood, my first question was, well, what about enforcement? We continuously request that these establishments obey the law. And in terms of supporting a friendly gesture, absolutely. But I am concerned with the follow-on enforcement that has been that's been the bane of our existence, really, as community board. We're only advisory. But I don't want to abet unlawful behavior. So if valet parking is outright illegal, there either has to be a change in law or a modification of policy so that things are spelled out much more clearly. Josephine, when you said that the situation is murky, what can you explain that, please? Is
So
there
at the
code?
right, there is a Department of Consumer and Worker Protection, for companies to be registered, but there's no enforcement associated, with that. That's my recollection of what the issue was at the time. So you can have, I mean, many businesses are required to have a Department of Consumer Affairs permit. But that requires, I mean, the profession requires you to operate. I don't know if there are specific rules, I guess, to your question and what that entails. I mean, it's been some time since we dealt in it. Maybe we could delve into that a little bit more. Can they be reviewed? Are there ways to have that license revoked? I think there's only one company in Bay Ridge that is valet parking, and that's Premier.
Is that Premier?
That's the one it seems like everyone is contracted with. So I have to do more.
Yeah. I mean, I think as a practical matter, we're not going to eliminate it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think this is what we can do within our power to.
What? I'm sorry, I didn't hear Staley.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was
doing
saying,
what?
I think as a practical matter, and I don't think we're going to eliminate valet parking regardless of how we
No.
legal status. Yeah.
Maybe not, but I think if the committee is willing, or, I don't like to task people to do more work. We're all volunteers. But in terms of exploring exactly what the policies are and at least understanding, I feel silly if we're putting out a friendly message about what not to do when maybe you're not supposed to do it in the first place. At least have a better idea of what regulations or govern this space. And possibly, I don't know, again, we might be able to meet with the 68th. There's so many things to talk to them about, but I think more information is needed. My 2 cents. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. Doris?
Thank you. I like the idea of starting with the friendly motion. But there are, and I think we all know who they are, there are certain egregious players in this. I know one, the community board has had several serious conversations with them, and they follow those instructions for about 2 weeks at maximum, and then it's back to normal. So I think it's a good idea to find out what is legal or what the regulations are. But I think there are probably a handful of egregious operators, and I think we should focus on them and work with the 6th precinct on that.
Speaking like other community boards have to be handling the same issue or have to be having similar kind of issues. Maybe CB10
I will
is so
tell you,
unique.
I will tell my son lives in Cobble Hill, where there are more restaurants there are than here. They do not have a problem.
Say, Jack, I honestly think valet parking is a dinosaur. in this neighborhood because I don't see it
Specifically
anywhere
is being-
else. And I gotta tell you, when I say friendly, understand, friendly is the first kind of step in building, a better culture, for example. And in my line of work, it also interrupts violence between violent parties and communities. So it is law enforcement in a way. So I don't want you to think that it's like a benign thing. Reminding people, of their responsibilities and obligations is a first step before before you take another step, which is you're overstepping, and you need to be reminded in a much stronger way that we could request that law enforcement be brought down on you. I just think overall it's a very good practice to start this, because it's just, I walk around the neighborhood sometimes, and I, like all of you, I see, like really congested, crazy streets and crazy drivers, and I'm appalled by, people milling around in sidewalks after school and just like trash all over the place. And it just struck me, Al Sham is trying to make an effort to run a business and do a good job. And it just really stuck with me what he said. We do what we can, but we can't control our patrons. And we have to remind everyone that they're part of a community, and we can do that. And so that we can build an understanding about what their responsibilities are, But yeah, I've heard that too, that there's only one vendor for this parking, then they're not even in state, I don't think. Aren't they in Florida or something like that?
Oh, I don't know.
For the valet parking? Yeah. It's gotta go away.
Carmen, has her hand raised, chat? Carmen?
Jack,
Go ahead,
whenever I hear the word valet, the first thing that comes to mind is when we have meetings and the public is here. They're one of the only groups I can almost remember how they phrase things, how they look beaten down, upset. I come home and somebody's in my driveway. I try to cross the street. I can't even get across. I can't do this. I can't do that. And the first thing I think about is how many times I've been invited to some of these restaurants, and I'll ask my friend, oh, when you call, what did they say? Oh, don't worry about driving in. We have valet parking. It starts with the owner. It's again going back to the owners. You're not going to have 40 people show up unless they were told we have valet parking, no problem. Yes, a friendly tone is important, but if they're breaking the law and making it hard for people, like I can't tell you how many people in Bay Ridge used to say how they say it was so much easier before. Everything is encroaching on our quality of life here. And the people around these restaurants, it's almost like being tortured. They probably dread Fridays, Saturday nights. There has to be a way, maybe this could be a reminder, but law enforcement, we have to do something for the residents that live here. That's my concern. Like even this line, it says this permit reflects an establishment desire to be a good neighbor. And when I think of these restaurants, they're not being a good neighbor. They are making a living. They have people they're responsible for. I totally understand that. But when you're putting somebody else with noise or blocking their driveway, that's not fair. We have to find that balance between helping the public and kind of reminding these people, maybe in a soft way, maybe in a little harder way, maybe constant reminders, you can't do this, it's not right.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I fully agree with all of that. I think I remember one of the comments that a restaurant made when they mentioned they had to have valet parking was because every other restaurant in the neighborhood also has valet parking. Like that was like a competitive thing, right? And so that is making me think like, are we able to somehow go through the bids somehow where like, hey, we can talk through with them about multiple restaurants at the same time? If we know valet parking is such a big part for the community. I mean, it mostly serves out of community, restaurant goers, right? Not necessarily in community restaurant goers. So maybe that's another avenue we can consider as well after this first step. Dina?
Last thing I'll add to this conversation. Valet is a luxury service. It's not necessary. It's not, these businesses aren't gonna fail if if valet is taken away, if it's made, if it's prohibited completely. And it's also just like inviting congestion from outside of our community. It's making our streets less safe. We're trying to emphasize street safety for everybody as of late, the last year. And I don't see how keeping valet services is really in line with that goal.
Okay, why don't I make this motion and we'll see how it sounds. So motion motion to write a letter to dining out restaurants and other restaurants in community that utilize valet parking, reminding them of the stipulation that we have in dining out, if relevant, and if not, reminding them of the general community standards around valet parking. Not sure if that's the right phrasing or not. And distribute their placards to the restaurants as Staley had designed, as well as coordinating with the 68th precinct, coordinating with 3rd Avenue bid, and coordinating with 5th Avenue bid on understanding valet parking rules and regulations. So kind of like a three-parter there: the letter, the placards, and then further steps for us to action on understanding what the rules and regulations are with the bid and the 68.
Okay, Jack, just a small correction. It's the 3rd Avenue merchants. They don't have a formal bid.
Merchants.
That's just a small.
Any comments on that?
And there are some restaurants that are outside are on commercial streets, but outside the purview of the 5th Avenue bid.
Okay.
And I just want to clarify, if Jack could just clarify what he's saying. It sounds like what you're saying is we should, on our own initiative, send these letters out. And then after they're sent out, or, while they're being sent out, also engage these other community partners with a further discussion, as opposed to going to the partners first, getting their input, and then sending the letters out, right?
Correct. Like I
Okay.
believe that the letters
Yep.
are friendly enough, the placards is clear enough that we can go ahead and distribute them. And I think we can wordsmith them. It'd be good, Staley, we can send across to the board or to the district office, and can be distributed to the committee so we can have a very clear review of that. And then secondary to that, discuss with 5th Avenue bid, 3rd Avenue bid, and 68th precinct.
Great. I will write a non-dining out version that we can send around and look at it via email this week. That's no problem.
Okay. Chris? Kristen and Larry.
Chris, did you have your hand raised?
Oh, I think Chris is
I think
frozen.
Chris is frozen. Yeah, he's frozen. Carmen?
I understand like both sides, but I almost feel like a letter like this, the one who's gonna enforce it or can enforce anything is the police department. I just kind of feel they should have like a quick review. They may have one line that could really tighten up this letter. Just having somebody just look at it and say, what do you feel about this? They may say it's fine, or they may say, can we add this? And sometimes that can make a difference because they are the ones that are dealing with these restaurants on a different level than us.
Carmen,
No?
it's it to get any approval. I mean, there's a hierarchy of approval in the police department. It's not done at a local level. They wouldn't be able to sign on at a local level.
Right.
I definitely agree with a point that was made earlier where, like, if the placard also had the 68 precinct, like, sign of approval, I'm not sure how quickly that would happen.
Yeah,
exactly.
But
I think we should still start that process and get that done.
Oh, I think Chris is back. Chris, are you back?
I'm sorry, my screen froze. No, I was just curious. They are properly licensed or they're not properly licensed?
There is a Department of Consumer Affairs license for valet parking. I think in most part it's associated with, say, like parking garages that have valet parking.
Right.
The people who pull up, it's usually associated with a municipal garage, a parking garage. You're not permitted to hold spaces on the public street.
Right, that would be obstructing the street. They
Right.
can't do that.
Exactly.
But so to have a permit for any sort of valet parking, you would have to have it somehow connected to some private parking.
That's
So-
the permit, when I looked it up, that's
Yeah.
how I read it and understood it. So, I mean, it's a good question, how do you valet park? Is there a license required for a public street? That's what I'm not clear about. That's kind
That's
of
what I'm not
murky to
clear
me.
about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not, I would have to ask Consumer Affairs and find
Okay.
out what the license involves and what it covers, what doesn't cover.
Okay.
to utilize the spaces that are private spaces that are available, save city incomes.
I did put that in the letter, actually. I did encourage.
So we've done that before, and unfortunately, the insurance for a lot of the lots in the district do not permit outside parking in them. Zoning also in some cases doesn't allow it. When Century 21 Department Stores came before this board to build its parking garage, it actually changed the designation so that we could invite local restaurants to have a portion of those parking spaces, utilized, and whether it was cost or whether, what happened, it really didn't take off, but we did explore that possibility in the past.
There, way back, there was some talk about building a parking lot on top of the Glass Expressway. Chuck Odie days, if you remember that, that was a way
Yeah,
back.
that's before me, no.
Not to say, it's just.
Back,
around,
yeah.
A lot of ideas have been kicked around, so.
Yeah. So I think we'll just take a comment from Dino and then comment, and then we'll call the motion on the floor here.
I just wanted to clarify, are we sending this out only to restaurants or all businesses that do valet? Because there's more than just restaurants that are causing, dangerous conditions and are a nuisance with the parking.
If we have a list of businesses that utilize valet parking, I think it would be a good general PSA for them. And with the language for dining out, if you are a dining out app participant, specifying the stipulations. Obviously, if you're not, then you don't have any stipulations that you agree to. But I think a general PSA sent out to all the places that we know that does valet parking would be good. So that's why I have implied, or that's why I meant to say, but I didn't say that earlier. So send the letters out to all known businesses that does valet parking. For dining out, participants have language specifying these stipulations or referring to stipulations. Second, distribute the design placards, the please don't placards. And thirdly, work with the Fifth Avenue Bid, Third Avenue Merchants, and 68 Precinct to further investigate this issue. And that has a very general meaning there.
Like a second?
Okay, thank you, Doris, for seconding. But Carmen, you just had one last comment there.
Oh, okay, sorry.
My church has a huge parking lot and we get asked a lot if people can park there. And I talked to one of the trustees to find out, what the status is. With the church, you have a nonprofit status, so they have to monitor. They can't make over a certain amount of money. Then if we do open the parking lot, we would have a huge increase for our insurance. And then unless you have somebody monitoring which cars are in the restaurant, any other car can park in there. Car could then stay overnight illegally. And if it's not monitored, cars could be broken into and then they could come back to the church. So that's kind of one reason why, it's a great space that's not being utilized, but we have rented out during the day hours, while some companies where people that work 9 to 5, and then they move their cars out because somebody's at the church and they can monitor what cars are in there. But if you don't monitor the space, it becomes like a free for all that. And then we're responsible if anybody gets hurt or falls, in the parking lot or something else happens. So.
Oh, Jack, you're on mute.
Thank you, Carmen. All right, so motion on the floor is as previously stated. I heard a second from Doris a little bit earlier.
Okay.
All in favor, please raise your hand.
Okay, it's unanimous.
All right.
Nope.
Yeah, I don't think we have enough. There's anyone that didn't vote for that. Thank you very much. That was the last item on the agenda, but I wanted to raise one more thing or notify everyone one more thing. So, the Zavarian is coming back, I believe, sometime in January, meeting to be scheduled, with the Zoning and Land Use Committee. It'll be a co-meeting. But yeah, so sometime in January, look forward to that. They have a pretty detailed plan that they sent across, that they will be reviewing with us on the traffic issues around the construction. So look forward to
Stay
that on the
tuned.
calendar.
Okay, all right, everyone. Motion to adjourn? Okay, let's see lots of hands. All right,
Thank you
everyone.
so much.
Have a good night.
good
See you
night.
all Monday.